All right, let's talk some business. The proportion of Nigerians with accounts at regulated institutions such as banks, microfinance organizations, and mobile money service providers rose from 16% to 45% in 2021. But that's according to the World Bank Global Findex database report. The overall account ownership rate in developing economies increased by 30 percentage points from 42% in 2011 to 71% in 2021, recording an increase of more than 70%. The report also shows that the global accounts ownership increased by 50%, from 51% in 2021 to 76% in 2021, while Nigeria's account ownership growth increased from 30% to 45% throughout the time period under consideration. The World Bank further stated that having an account is a key indicator of financial inclusion and opens the door for both men and women to use financial services in a way that promotes economic growth. As Nigeria's debt stock continues to rise amidst worries by analysts on the sustainability of the country's debt, a total of 11.784 trillion naira and $8.168 billion has been spent over the last 7 years to service both domestic and external debt obligations, respectively. Latest data from the Debt Management Office shows that the country's domestic and external debt stock had risen by 127.9% and 272.9% respectively over the last 7 years. When compared to the 8.836 trillion naira domestic debt obligation of the country as of 2015, the debt stock had risen to 20.144 trillion naira as of the end of March 2022. The report also shows that the annual debt service payments for domestic obligations doubled from 1.018 trillion naira in 2015 to 2.054 trillion naira by the end of 2021, while in the first 3 months of 2022, the federal government paid out 668.69 billion naira in interest on its local borrowings. In the same vein, external borrowings of the country soared to $39.96 billion as of March 2022, compared to the debt stock of $10.718 billion it owed external creditors as at the end of 2015. In the same manner, the amount paid annually to service the external debt obligations rose from $331.059 million in 2015 to $2.109 billion in 2021. In the first quarter of 2022, the country paid out $548.789 million to its external creditors. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, recently mentioned that the rising debt of the country and its high spending plan are increasingly making servicing of its debt challenging. The Federal Operations Unit of the Nigerian Customs Service says that it will frustrate smugglers out of their illicit business. The warning was issued at the rendering of the command's half-year report that showcased seizures of smuggled items worth a total of 7.1 billion naira, including 77 trailer loads of foreign parboiled rice and the arrest of 103 suspected smugglers from January to June 2022. Ifunaya Eze reports.
I want to use this opportunity to solicit from Nigerians that we need timely information from them.
An appeal for credible information from the public in the battle against smuggling. Acting Comptroller Hussein Ijibono is urging Nigerians to beware of illicit and dangerous importations with the approach of the 2023 elections.
Election is coming. There are some unscrupulous Nigerians who may want to import what is not supposed to be imported. I'm using this chance to tell Nigerians not to be swayed by their talks, not to be swayed by their money, that they want to, somebody who will now come in with an item like arms to fight what? To fight us. And you will now know, because of what you will gain, you will now allow those things to come in. Please, if you cannot come to us, go to other agencies and let us have that timely information.
He says that even as the reopening of the land borders continue to encourage legitimate trade, The smuggling of foreign parboiled rice, petroleum products and other contraband items are also on the increase.
There is a reasonable level of legitimate trade coming in. Unlike when the border was closed, there was nothing like legitimate trade. But now, we are having them, but the smuggling per se still persists. It is already becoming a recurring decimal, and we are fighting a cartel because I believe they are a cartel, and we'll fight them to stand still.
Giving a breakdown of the list of seized items, which include more than 45,000 bags of foreign parboiled rice, an equivalent of 77 trillion loaves, 265,830 liters of premium motor spirit, 3,659.05 kilograms of cannabis sativa, among other contraband goods, worth 7.1 billion naira. He reveals that through his interventions, 577.8 million naira was recovered from underpayments. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News, Lagos.
Global stocks rise in holiday-themed trade, helped by a bounce in oil as concerns about tight supply outweighed recession fears. MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside Japan rose 0.34%. Chinese blue chips closed 0.7% higher, helped by a 4.65% surge in Chinese healthcare stocks, while Japan's Nikkei added 0.84%. US S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq futures fell 0.4% and 0.5% respectively. European stocks rallied 0.8%. Britain FTSE rose over 1%, boosted by gains in the oil and gas companies. Outside our shores now, the euro slumped to a two-decade low today as the latest surge in European gas prices added to worries about a recession, while there is no stopping the dollar as the U.S. Treasury bill staged a rebound. The euro 0.8% early drop took it to its weakest since the end of 2002, as Japan's yuan recorded a near 24-year low again. While Norway's crown slumped 1% and its gas workers went on strike, concerns about how European Central Bank will react are also gaining sentiments after German Bundesbank Chief Joachim Nagel hit out at the ECB's plan to try and shield highly indebted countries from sharp rises in borrowing rates. Even the Australian dollar failed to gain traction despite the country's first back-to-back 50 basis points interest rate hikes in recent memory overnight, which also cemented the fastest run-up in rates there since 1994. South Korea's June inflation accelerated to the fastest pace since the Asian financial crisis, funding expectations that the central bank could deliver a 50 basis points rate hike for the first time next week to cool prices and curb capital outflows, according to the South Korea Statistics Office. The consumer price index rose 6% in June from a year earlier, indicating the fastest since November 1998, and exceeding the central bank's 2% target for the 15th consecutive month. The CPI also sped up from a 5.4% rise in the previous month and exceeded the 5.9% tipped by analysts. The latest CPI data comes after Bank of Korea's Governor Ray Chan-yong said he will keep the door open for a possible 50 basis points hike as he monitors key economic data before the bank's next rate decision on July 13th. Oil prices on international market as supplies are down as supplies are driven by lower OPEC outputs, unrest in Libya, and sanctions against Russia outweighed fears of a demand-sapping global recession. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude recorded a price increase of 2.20% to hit $110.63 per barrel. Brent sells at $113.89, registering an upward price margin of 2.26%. Bonnie Light's performance continued in the red territory, with a price dip of 3.25%, selling at $118.01 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $113.02, with a decline of 2.08% in price.